Hell still in front here, trying hard the outside. Shauna Whiskey getting out and running home late is our Magnus, but Hell's about 3 lengths in front. Our Magnus runs to second, but brilliant from Hell. Hell has won.
Welcome to Bet Doctor, Behind the Curtain look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot, and it's a new Queensland-only racing show. It's Brisvegas, and we've got Donnie in the hot seat. Out's Big Red. Walt's not here. Big shoes to fill. Anthony Don.
Yeah, I don't know about big shoes to fill, but definitely some strange shoes to fill. I'm not an oddball like that fella, so no, it's an honour to be here, and it's a cracking card to start off the show with a really good meeting at Doomben. I'm sure everyone's struggling this week after a tough cup week, but looking forward to the Doomben card on Saturday. I think there's multiple good bets to have, and hopefully the track races are fast. There's a few storms predicted, but hopefully they stay away, and we got a nice fast track, so can't wait to get stuck into it.
Yeah, the quick look that I've had looks like a happy hunting ground for punters, and Doomben generally is. Races are pretty straight there, but GK is our first guest. People might know him from the Racing Rant, but you might have seen him on Twitter as well, at Brizzy Form Guide. How are you, GK?
Yeah, very well, mate.
It's been an awful cup week, but we're pretty proud to bring this show with a big thanks to TopSport and Racing Queensland. So we're going to roll out a Friday episode of Bet Dr. Brisvegas until the Magic Millions Carnival in January. So the second weekend of Jan, there'll be an episode that drops every Friday afternoon around 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Fridays, and we'll try and cover as much ground as we can. The boys will drop some of their black bookers and their best bets between Friday night's race meeting and then all the way to Sunday. But I think we're just going to play it pretty straight here, and I think we're going to cover races 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you want to have a quaddy at Brisbane, we've got you sorted for that one. And the good news is we've also got Tommy Henjak from MacBet that's going to join us as well. So he's going to be in a bit of a rotation policy with Johnny McLeod. So they can fight over who likes the card best on a week-to-week basis. But I think it's going to be a cracking 10 weeks, and hopefully there's plenty of winners to be found. But GK, I think you're a little bit newer than Donnie to our audience. But what's your background, and how do you describe yourself as a punter?
Good question. I hate these questions, actually. I think like a lot of people just got involved in racing really young. I grew up in country Queensland, and probably about 200 metres from the track. So I could hear the race calls from my backyard. So I was gone from about the age of 8. And yeah, was hooked ever since. And then, got involved working as a bookies clerk when I was 18, and, spent a bit of time away from the industry, and then really came back full-time 3 or 4 years ago. And yeah, pretty much I'd say 60% of my focus is Southeast Queensland, and then the other 40% sort of spread across Sydney, Melbourne and Perth as well.
How does a Saturday normally look for you, GK? You at the track and you're doing the yard, and how much time do you spend on the provincial or country meetings in Queensland, such as the Poly meeting tomorrow or the Northern Queensland stuff?
So I don't go out to the track all the time. So I'm probably at the track maybe every 2 or 3 weeks on a Saturday, just because of the service that I run. Often I need to be really on top of multiple screens and whatever else. So not a yard guy at all. I do some provincial meetings, but it's not primarily my focus. Most of it is metro. Obviously, I can't say no to a Sunshine Coast meeting on a Friday or a Sunday, or a dig out at Toowoomba late on a Saturday night.
Or a Sunshine Coast Poly meeting. They're probably up there with my favourite Queensland track at the moment, but it's not wet enough to race there.
Yeah, exactly. Just spot the leader and back it, right?
Oh, it's just unbelievable up there.
So what draws you to going on track? Because obviously I prefer the bunker, and I just don't think that the race clubs have really nailed the race day experience for punters like us. We are attached or pretty keen on our databases and multiple screens, and we just don't have that atmosphere set up yet. I sort of live in hope one day that they can have an area for us, because I'd love the social element of talking to other people in between races maybe, and even just having a drink after the last and blow off a bit of steam, because it is a pressure cooker. But what draws you to the track, GK, if it's not the yard? Is it just your mental health and sanity, or what gets you out?
Yeah. It's mental health and sanity. Just to engage with other like-minded people and to sort of catch up with various people. I'm mainly a bunker person as well, but you can get lost in your own nonsense in the bunker, and sometimes you just need to clear the air as well, and just change it up. And I find when I do go out to the track, I really enjoy it, and they definitely still haven't got it right for people like us, and I think they could do better. And I've made that point previously to a number of race clubs, but look, it is what it is. So we've just got to go with it right now.
It'd be better too if the bookies were competitive in Queensland, because the times I go out there, I just go out there for a social occasion every now and then to get on the beers and have a pump with the mates. But the bookies in Queensland compared to other rings are just so they got the worst percentages. They don't try to take any horses on. So the on-track bookies, in my experience, aren't even trying to draw you there. They're just trying to take on the recreational punters, which is also a tough part. And you get to get better prices at home, especially with TopSport, where you got Top Fluck and those types of things as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's the probably the big difference. Melbourne, the boys have a fair bit of a crack percentage-wise as well, and I'm not as across the Sydney rings, but there's a definite price advantage in the big metro areas. So yeah, it's a different landscape, but again, hopefully it'll change. We've also got some early bets from Tristan to see where the early money's gone there, and then Donnie's going to introduce a new segment which I absolutely love. Might have to take it back to the old show. It's the team multi. So we'll get the best three from the panel, and we'll put them in a multi, and we'll get hopefully a decent dividend at Top Sport, and hopefully we can get all three legs up. So a little bit of pressure on the boys. GK, I might ask you this one. I think there's only about 3 mil of rain forecast today. Rail plus 2.5. What's that mean?
Look, if those storms stay away, I think we're just looking at typical Doomben, to be honest. The tracks have really dried out during the days, most Saturdays recently, and no matter what the official rating is, it's pretty much always wrong. Like, they will go up maybe a 5 or something, but I'll find on my database after race 2 we're on a fast track generally. Like, my track speeds for the last 4 or 5 meetings, we've been sort of between a 2 and a 3 for most of the circle races. So firm decks, you want to be on speed, typical Doomben. If you can find progressive horses who lead or sit in the first 2 pairs, you're in a good position.
Outstanding. All right, so traditional Doomben is the setup, and I'd looking at my weather forecast, I don't think the storms are going to hit, but stranger things have happened. Let's get stuck into it, because we got Tommy Turbo on the bench, and he'll be getting itchy. He's a busy man. Doomben Race 3 is the first one we're going to have a crack at. It's the Congrats John Simons and Sheila Laxon. No Metro Win handicap. It's 1350 metre event, and Metal Art's a favourite here. Drawn the car park, got 60 kilos, barrier 13, $2.70 at TopSport, End Assembly $4.80, Torabella $5, Pipistrel $6.50, then you got Brentwood $12, and much better the rest. The first replay we're going to roll through. The first one's Metal Art, the favourite here, and had no gate speed, but here it is in the red, the blue sleeves and the white cap. Donnie absolutely savages the line here. Gets a similar problem here, drawn 13. What do you think of the run?
It's a really awesome run, especially when you consider that the bias was on the rails this day and inside. So it used to be a horse that used to bounce out a lot better than that. And in its first 4 starts, it went 4 in a row or 3 in a row, and it sat in the box seat and won every time. It's a run of a horse that's screaming out to win, but like you say, it's just the map again. If it's slow away again and it's going to get back, I couldn't back it at that price, but I think the intention will be to give it a shove out of the gates and try and sit outside the lead to put a race away again, but just not sure if it's going to happen. And
this is another key form race. You got End Assembly up in front, and then Torabella was really horrible and weakened badly. Form was a bit questionable prior to that, but I assume that Noel Callow on End Assembly is going to do something similar there. And this is an interesting one. I think this is Mackay, and this is Pipistrel. This horse just went to the top and absolutely bolted in, so not sure how that form stacks up, or your ratings boys might have a better handle on it, but yeah, how do we start with this race, Donnie? I'll go to you first, and then we'll go to GK.
I'm not super keen to play him. This is because Torabella, the Golden Horse too, it was highly touted in his first campaign. It ran some huge numbers from the front. It was 3 or 4 wide and a hot speed first up and folded badly. I'm kind of also stained by End Assembly. I know the owner, who's close to the Curry stable, and they just think this horse is going through the roof, and it's had a couple of poor rides and didn't handle the wet Toowoomba track on their carnival day, and they were really annoyed with the ride last start where it was kind of kicked up the lead under a hot tempo and that they wanted to take a sit. So if I had a bet, I'd probably lean to End Assembly just because I'm worried about Metal Art, where it's going to get to on the map and the track pattern. But if he somehow finds the outside the lead spot or 1 out 1 back Metal Art, it's probably immoral. But yeah, I can't bet with Torabella off a failure. End Assembly, I just know how good the stable thinks it's going, but I would take the Pender Pipistrel. I don't think it's got much of a hope.
Yeah, from what I saw with Metal Art just being slowly away, I'm not sure it can muster the gate speed. What do you think, GK?
Yeah, it's a big concern. I just with the map, and there is significant speed drawn inside it. Like, we know Schmoozer will try to go forward. I can tell you Brentwood is going to try to sit in the first 2 pairs. Well, obviously, Torabella is going to go forward. Then you've got a heap of others that could sit on speed as well. Obviously, End Assembly, Groove in the Moo, Bow Rider. If they're not super assertive and if it doesn't jump cleanly, it could be posted again. With that map, I think it's too short early. So, maybe we'll get a few scratchings before this race, and that might change the map and make things softer. But at where we are right now, I couldn't be on Metal Art. Torabella did have heat stress, so I'm prepared to be somewhat forgiving there. And obviously, just with the draw, I think it's going to be a chance. Outside of those two, I do think the key danger is End Assembly. Like, it's come out of 2 really fast run races, so I think it's pretty well set up for this.
And finally, it's good jockey Jasper Franklin. Noel Kello's a pretty decent switch there. He might just let things unfold early and maybe even best ride wins here.
I think he's the best rider in Queensland at the moment, almost. His stats say that, just with, I think he's going about 35% profit on turnover in the Metro. So he's the one that the market doesn't really see as one of the top jockeys, but he's as good as Orman or Maloney on his day. So yeah, he's a great jockey switch. And yeah, he looks the stalker, and Torabella will be out in front and it's probably the one to catch. And it just depends what you do with the favourite out of the gates. If it's going to go back, then it's probably going to be hard to win. But we'll see the pattern by then. We've got 2 races early. If it's up on speed, then you probably lean further into Torabella. But at the moment, I'm happy just to stay out and see what happens.
All right, let's have a look at Doomben Race 5. It's the congratulations Knight's Choice Class 3 plate. Just never ending the torture here. Cadal is $3.10, Quothquan $4, Felix the Scat $4, El Pensador $6, Ready as Ever $12, Rashford $17, Our Turn Now $19, and you're getting much better the rest. And the first replay we're going to have a look at here, this is a pretty impressive run, I thought, and Tommy's submitted this one, and 3-back the fence in the blue with the gold sash is Quothquan, and Navy on the Highway is sort of off and gone, but love the last sort of 200 metres of this horse where sort of has to go inside, and then once it gets into the clear, it really charges late. What do you think of that, GK?
Yeah, look, it's a really nice performance. We've seen this many times from Quothquan, though. My concern is always that it's a back marker at Doomben, and it does, often get into positions in run where it has a few camels in front of it. So that's always a concern for me, especially when I see it at these types of prices. It's a horse with a lot of ability, but I'm not completely convinced this is the right race for it.
Yeah, I'm similar. It ran the best sectionals of the day last start, but that's for slow tempo, saving all the ground up the inside. And it's not one of mine. It's got a poor winning strike rate, so I'm happy to take it on. Fascinating
that the winner Navy on the Highway, they're throwing that into Depends, going into the hot Danish with horses like Magic Time and Belclair. So good luck to them. But wow, that looks like a bridge too far for me. The second replay we're going to have a look at here is Rashford, and this is in the blue and white, the Bunce colours. Tell us about this, GK. This is one you like.
Yeah, look, I think this is over the odds early. If you look at where it gets to the run and the way it gets off heels here late and storms, look, it finishes not far behind El Pensador, which is like a third of its price. I do think El Pensador is a chance in this race as well. I think Rashford's just really well set up with the draw. Month Stable is absolutely flying, striking at over 20% in October, something like 70% ROI. Like, the stable's going really well. I could see them potentially pushing the button here and going forward. And if they do, I think it'll be right in this race. If you dig into its form, you might not think that some of those races are all that strong, but we've got wins over Merchant Flyer, which obviously won that race where we saw that replay. I just like the way the Munce horses go once they've had a few runs and they get to peak fitness, and then they push the button, they go forward and they try to roll along. I think it's over the odds. I've got this price single figures.
I can sort of see why, and I can see why the draw might suit this horse. Barrier 7 can, as you say, it's got a couple of options. It can push the button. It can probably go 2 or 3 pairs back, and then you got Kothquan, Tommy's horse, that looks destined to be in the coffin. So he could be screaming at the 300-metre mark, as you said, with El Kamals all in front of him. Thoughts about Cadal, the favourite, Maloney, Nisham, Rob Archibald?
Yeah, it's a horse that has strong form on paper, like the performance a few back in the race that Naval Trader won, that Substantial came out of. Obviously, that's a good form line. And then the run behind Navy on the Highway. I thought it was travelling fairly well in the straight. I guess my main problem with this horse is that it just doesn't have the knockout punch, and it's just one of those that it'll peel on the turn, but it just doesn't have that sprint to put a field away. So, from this draw, where does Maloney get to? I guess he could probably get to 1 out, 1 back if he wanted to. But I could just see others being too strong late. I personally think it's under the odds early.
Oh, yeah, I've had an early bet in this race. I've backed Felix the Scat. I think its trial was sensational. It bounced to the front and it kept going. It ran some slick late sectionals in its trials. I think the best 8.64 and 2 of the day or the morning. And I think Gollan might have found the key to this horse, because this is only his second preparation with Gollan. It's fresh off a third in the Queensland Derby last start. It's trialled like an absolute weapon, and it probably can find the top here. We've got Powerful Eagle, the number 5, without a jockey. It looks a likely leader on the speed figures. But if it comes out without the jockey engaged, I think Felix the Scat can just bounce and land on the lead. And if it's playing on speed, it'll be extremely hard to catch. It was known as Felix the Cat, because it is absolutely a cat, and they used to turn it up. But I think that the stable change, first up at 1,600 off a sharp trial, I think it's the different form, and I think he can run a massive race. So it's just interesting to see how it looks in the parade, and if there's any money. So yeah, I'm definitely in the Felix the Scats corner.
GK?
I thought it was one of the trials of the month. It was arrogant. Like, even for a trial, like KWT even did like the look over the shoulder.
Did a J-Mac.
Yeah, it was a J-Mac.
He did a J-Mac in the trial. It was a fantastic trial. But
he's struggling to get a win at KWT, so he should have claimed the trial.
Yeah. He should have, stood up in the irons. But look, fantastic trial. Obviously comes through hot races at the end of last prep. I agree with Donnie that I think Gollan's got this sorted. I just, it still is a concern first up here at a mile. So I just wonder whether maybe one more, but like this race is definitely within its reach. Personally, I've got the race between El Pensador, Rashford, and Felix the Scat. I think one of those three probably win.
I think there'll be intention for the stable just because of its poor strike rate and how long since it's had a victory. So they'll be keen to go to the front and keep running, I think.
Yeah, he's sure to be a horse that's going to be popular too. With those form references around 10 Hours Autumn Angel, Kintyre, Razors, and the Sydney form there. So if the Gollan money comes, which some of it's already been, some of it's yours, Donnie, as well, it looks like it'll stay hard in the market. So yeah, Cadal, looking at my punting form data, I think you've nailed that too, GK. It looks like a horse that just finds itself there, but definitely lacks a killer punch. So if it's just a great race to target and bet around that false favourite in Cadal, and especially with Maloney on it, might stay in the market. So Quathcon for Tommy Henjak, and then we've got Felix the Scat, El Pensador, and Rashford. So you could even have exactas and trifectas through those strong horses as well. All right, now it's time to put GK on the bench and have a look at race 6 with Tommy Henjak. Turbo, welcome back to Bet Doctor, Brisvegas edition. How are you, brother?
Yeah. Thanks, Scoot. Good, thanks. It's been a hot minute, hasn't it?
Oh, mate, hot minute. Have a look at that, those fresh bangs, that haircut.
Sorry, yeah, well, we got the, knew I was coming on the show today, and then we got the, hopefully be in the winner's circle there on Saturday, so got to look nice and fresh for the photo after the race.
Mate, hard fit. You just pump straight into retros after the winner's circle. Doomben race 6. Let's start top racing. Moreton High benchmark 68 handicap, 1,110 metres. Taltani Fields is the favourite here, 440. Thank you, Henry, 460. Acres Away, $5. Bustling, $650. The Astronomer, $850. Troika, $10. And $13 for That's an Extra. Telez is $16 and $20. About Great Barrier Reef, it's still going around, and all the others are out the gate. A couple of replays here that we can talk through. Yeah, the first one, key reference is Taltani Fields was a bit slow away, and then you got the winner outside it as well. Oh, sorry, Taltani Fields is in the red, and then Acres Away is on the fence, having trouble to extricate itself out. How strong's this form reference when you start to measure it up against the next horse that we're going to have a look at, which is Thank You, Henry, Tommy? Because this win 2 starts back at the Sunshine Coast. I was quite taken by this horse. Did it at both ends, and I know this is a 1,000-metre race, but he made mincemeat of this field. What do you think of the form lines?
The form lines at Taltani Fields. Look, it's always had ability, and look, they tried forever to break its maiden, and they were just gassing it to the front, and it wasn't finishing off its races until kind of a horse went past it. Then it would pick up again, and you just go like, oh, it's just going round and round and round. But look, obviously last start was the best win of its career, and it was, I think it might have been the first race or second race that they were actually able to ride it how they've always wanted to, which is to ride it with a sit. CJ give it a 10 out of 10 ride from the gate. I thought Street Chase would be very hard to beat that day, and look, it didn't really show up, and now the owner's moved on his horses to some bloke who trains out of Cranbourne, who I believe is moving up here. But as I said, Taltani Fields got the great run in transit. It ran really good time. Obviously, Acres Away was very stiff not to win. You could have driven a semi-trailer up the inside there where Jasper should have gone, and he's an apprentice to avoid at all costs up here. But look, it's a different setup for Taltani Fields today. It's not going to get, well, tomorrow, sorry. It's not going to get the dream run in transit it did there from an outside gate. So, look, I think you're on the money with Thank You, Henry. Look, $5. It's probably a bit touch and go whether you want to take it first up, but in its favour, it's got a really good map, and it's going to be in the right spot with how the track should play there on Saturday on a really firm deck and really hot weather around this week. Yeah,
Taltani Fields, like you said, Tommy Henjak, she gave it a 10 out of 10 last start. What's the odds of CJ giving another 10 out of 10 from gate 11 out of 13? So there does look a lot of speed and gauge, which might open some gaps up, but she could easily get posted here or drive it to sit outside the lead. And I don't think it's a horse that likes that position. I think it needs some cover and peel late. And like Tommy said, it was an awesome win first up. I thought it was a rails day that day too, so it sat off the rails and ran time and beat a decent horse in Acres Away, which was slow away. But I like Thank You, Henry, as well, which should lead. I'm just not too sure if it's pressure up front, it might fold late. It trialled really nicely leading in, but I was in really slow time. So it's a trainer that doesn't have many horses. So there still is some question marks, but if it's on speed and it's a rock hard track, it's definitely the way to go.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say, Tommy, and you probably know more about this run, but I thought it stamped its credentials at Ipswich. It was a heavy track and it ticked the 1,100 metre box. So I think he's got the strength to progress to 1,100 quite easily.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's got a lot less convictions than a lot of these in the race. And I think it was doing all of that in its first prep as well. So there's obviously scope to improve. And yeah, as Donnie said, like Taltani Fields, it can win, but whether you want to take $4 or whatever it is to find out from that gate, wouldn't really be tempted. And the other hole in the market I thought was definitely busting, because I don't think it's an 1,100 metre horse. It's coming off a really long spell and the gate looks tricky for it. So look, Thank You, Henry's probably the one the market's going to gravitate to for sure. I don't think the Astronomer's without a hope either. I know Donnie's a big fan of the camp, the Stephen Lee stable.
They're hot and cold. That they are in and out. I don't know what they do down there, but holy dooly, when they're on, they're on. But yeah, like you say, it's going to draw. It draws well, and Bustling. Surely they scratch 500 days off barrier 15 on a hot tempo. They can't run. You wouldn't think. And then I thought Troika was one that might be able to sneak into a hole, but not overly keen to play in this race unless I can see a decent on-speed advantage.
Outstanding stuff. All right, so that's the horse that I've sort of earmarked as one of my best, but let's have a look at the Keith now, because this is one of Tommy's better bets on the program. 1,200 metre race. Bubba's Bay's the favourite here, $3.60 in from $3.90. Tiger Shark $4.20. Pretty nice win last time. Hard to say, $4.40. Midnight in Tokyo, 7 into $4.80. The big market mover. You got Nashira, $8.50. It's sort of a horse that I've got pegged as maybe 1,100 metre horse tops. You got Ned's Gull at $15, and then My Snow Queen at $17. And then a horse like At Wits End, which has got a bit of ability, but I thought it was a little bit disappointing in the Kosciuszko. Let's go to the replays, and Turbo can talk us through a few of these. But Bubba's Bay, sat just in behind the speed in the blue with the pink and white, and this horse is just airborne, Turbo.
So this is the replay I wanted to have a look at, because the 2 runs up here so far, it's been, look, it's fair to say it's had every chance and given every possible by Cody Collis in both starts. But this horse has always had ability, and in this replay, I think it's that wide the trip at Eagle Farm on a day where the inside was the place to be, and it's beat home runners like Mullane, Rock Ribbed, and they went on to do better things. Mullane after that run, and then Rock Ribbed this preparation progressed through the grades quite nicely. But look, Bubba's Bay, it's, as I said, in that win, they tipped it out, and then they took it down to Sydney, and a lot of those Chris Lee's runners, they just seem to lose a leg once they go down south. They've got a little boutique stable up here on the Gold Coast, and they get a lot of TLC up here. And look, these last 2 wins, as I said, they've been blessed, but the times have been good, and it's done it with something in hand. So I think it's definitely the horse to go to. I know you said At Wits End was disappointing in the Kosciuszko, which I do tend to agree. Look, its best wins, it's definitely in with a chance in this race, but I know it's a lot better outside horses. You look at its last 3 wins, I think it's that wide at Doomben in a midweek open grade race. And then it's that wide at the Sunny Coast that day at Yellow Brick, beat Yellow Brick. And then it's that wide the day to win the Eyeliner. So, look, I would have been half forgiving of that last start, but the jockey and the gate do kind of turn me off it a little bit. However, it is 20-1. So I just can see it being buried kind of back. And look, to go back towards the map, it does look okay speed up front. Like, you got Tiger Shark, who probably want to find the lead with Jake Bayless again. Snow Queen can probably lead, but at 1,200 fresh, I'm not sure whether they'll want to. Talia is on, and it's got 53 kilos. I would just say they probably booked her due to the weight and a lack of riders who can ride at that, and she's got an affinity with the horse. So if they really do want to go up front, then I think there's a spot there, 1-1 for Bubba's Bay. And if Snow Queen takes the sit, then I think Bubba's Bay can just amble outside the leader and Tiger Shark. And I think race fitness is going to be a big factor there on Saturday. It's going to be very hot. Horses are going to melt in the yard if they're not quite there. And as I said, with the projected speed up front, you're going to need a rock hard fit horse at 1,200. And I think Bubba's Bay just fits the bill perfectly. I think in at the weights, it's a weird weight scale. A lot of these should be below the minimum. And then you've got Hard to Say, who's the top weight, coming off some lackluster runs this prep. Well, it was thrown in the deep end last start, and it was a good win fresh, but 1,200's a little bit of a query for it also.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the Sydney Stakes with Hard to Say, and this horse just absolutely flew the gate. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go forward, given it's an apparent drop back in class. But he just sat in no man's land here, Ashley Morgan, and sat 3 wide, and then it was like they rode the horse to get 1,200, and then he was just plain and out sort of sped regardless.
That's true. Actually, I probably should forgive that run. Like, he did jam it early, had it pulling. It probably had no right to finish off the race. So you put a pen through that, but I still think 1,200's a little bit of a query.
Big time.
Knowing Maloney, like, he's not the most aggressive rider. So, look, he'll probably sum things up early and, look, he'll probably get it right, but the gate still looks tricky for the way I'm looking at the race anyway to run 1200.
Yeah, I think the gate, the big weight and the wide draw are definitely concerns. It's never won at 1200. So, I couldn't find it. The same as Bubba's Bay. I'm agreeing with you in the terms of I think it's had every possibility last two starts. I've been on it last two starts, but it's gone up in class here and you got to take a very short price. So I think that's going to be a tough price to take. Tiger Shark's going to be paddling late, you would imagine, unless it gets its own way out front. I thought Midnight in Tokyo was a chance. It's trialled nicely, and if they're running on and they over to the speed, it could be the one.
Yeah, we've got that trial. So the trial had a couple of decent runners here. We've got June 45, Brookhaven's in there, Majestic Boom. So not a weak trial by any means. And it was sort of the fly in the ointment, this horse. 7 into 4.8 is a strong market push.
The stable is absolutely airborne.
It's just what you do with it first up. Like, you just know it's not wound up for this. Like, you know that there's probably going to be races throughout the summer carnival that it's going to be aimed at. So can it get to those, like the form last preparation's just outstanding. Once it got out, I think it was in a few listed races. I think it has a victory over Punch Lane and Hold On Honey in one of those midweek races, but that was all kind of second, third, fourth up. So whether it's fully wound up to go, I thought the trial was okay. I thought it was maybe a little bit tired late, which is why I'm tending to think it might need the run. But as you said, it gets the right run in transit, and with 53 kilos on its back, it's definitely a horse I can see the market coming for.
I know. I take some notes down here of what you've been saying. I've noticed you said that there could be some hot horses in the yard at Doomben on Saturday. Do you reckon there'll be some hot ladies in the yard after your new haircut and looks like your new fitness routine? Do you think they're going to overheat as well? Because I'll tell you what, Tommy, I've known for you a few years. This is probably the sharpest I've ever seen you look. I think you're ready to go on Saturday.
They're only human, mate. They're only human. So, on Saturday, it's all about business. So yeah, mate,
business.
I'm there. Strictly business. And
on a serious note, have you noticed anything different with the Nisham horses in the yard? Because everywhere around the country, they're running through brick walls.
I honestly haven't, and it is doing my head in, to be honest, because they are like, for a while there, it was just a stable that you just bet against, but recently 100% right.
Almost.
Like it is almost like they're just training up winners for fun, and don't particularly like it because I don't like the stable, but it's something that but yeah, to answer your question, to be honest, I actually haven't really noticed anything different. So
I think Bubba's Bay seems a logical bet there, and I think you made a really strong case. Looks pretty well placed, I would have thought, and it's got a couple of different options too, so it can sit handy. As long as he doesn't get it posted early, I think it should stay rock hard firm, and hard to say, a little bit chinky, and well aware of the points that you made there with Midnight in Tokyo. Might be just a touch vulnerable, but definitely a horse to follow deeper into the prep. And Tommy, your best for the team multi will be Quothquan. We did the segment without you, but did you eavesdrop into the conversation? What did you think of that?
No, I didn't get it. I didn't catch that part, but I just thought Quothquan, it's a horse that I've just been waiting for to get out to a mile the entire preparation, and it finally gets there. I like the race. I think it comes out of the strongest race by far. That was the race won by Navy on the Highway, who we see down in Sydney on Saturday. It was a sprint affair, but I like that going into this race at a mile, that it's going to be able to switch off. There doesn't look a great deal of pressure, I think. I'm surprised Cadal's so short in the market, a Nisham runner. It's beaten at home its last 3 runs, I think. Felix Escat, the boys were talking about that as I got on. It's an interesting runner. What do you do with it first up at a mile? We didn't see the best of it. You reckon? The trial was quite good, but I just don't know whether it's got the turn of foot over a mile. We saw its best.
Finds the front.
I don't know whether they'll want to do that first up at a mile. It probably can. And just knowing Golan's profile, his runners always improve into their preparations quite significantly. And there'd be races out over 2,000, 2,400 later in the carnival that he'd be targeting. And look, I'm probably a little bit, can't believe what this horse did last preparation. I know it used to be trained by Holberts and now it's with Golan, but knowing the horse, it just doesn't have that good of a turn of foot that I think Quothquan has over a mile. And I'm happy to take the risk at the price with Quothquan to run out the mile, because I think it's been crying out for it, but we find out on Saturday.
Yeah, I think we'll find out in the late market what the tactics are, whether they want to go to the front or they're going to take a sit. If it takes a sit, third defence might be okay at best, but I'm hoping it goes to the front. And like you say, Quothquan's the one that's going to be flying late.
Yeah.
Definitely a race to follow, especially we have to look ahead to the deeper races of the summer carnival. Let's have a look at Doomben race 8. It's the Eva Air Benchmark 85 handicap. Cronenberg's the favourite here, 310. Bet you the Crown 440. Belvedere Boys $7. Living Free 8. Binding $10. Clyde $11. It's a Me Mario $12. And you got Bossara at $13. Let's have a look at a couple of replays here. Donny, the first one. Bet you the Crown, black and red, and runs down one of probably the most in-form horses, or was in form, is I Am Artie here. Pretty nice work here.
Yeah, it's a nice win, and it's just disappointing to watch this once again because I had 71 times the quaddie on the leader in I Am Artie for about 30-something thousand, so this hurts. But yeah, it was slow away, got a bit of interference at the start, but it can be slow away, which will play against it significantly from the inside barrier. So if it jumps cleanly, I think it's a massive chance here to sit third defence. And if it does sit third defence, I think it's a great bet. The favourite here, Cronenberg, man, this looks like the lay of the year to me. I just can't find this at all. It led on a slow speed and fell in last start. So I'm definitely taking that horse on. And we're having a look at the replay of Binding. This is first up, last preparation in Sandown. It led at a midweeker and it held on against some decent horses. The form out of the race is okay, and midweek Melbourne form will stand up here in Brisbane on a Saturday, especially if it finds the top. I think it's the obvious leader in the race. It's had no public trials. It might have had a sneaky jump out here or there that I haven't seen, but if it's ready to go first up, the market's going to tell us, and Tommy Turbo can tell us being in the yard. If it's on pace, it turns up in the yard ready to rock. $13 is a massive price for this thing. So the way I've played it, I haven't bet too hard early. I've had something on Bet to the Crown early, and I've had a small kind of starting to build a position on Binding. But I think you can lead and run a massive race. If it's 13s out to 20s, it might be none. I'll still be on it. But if it's 13s into 7 or 8s with the intention to try and win here, I think it's a huge price. And Bet to the Crown's going to be a good bet too, just praying that it can get away cleanly. But I just can't believe the price of Cronenberg. And Belvedere Boys is probably the best horse in the race. I think if the rain comes on Friday afternoon and it's a soft track,
comes back into it.
It's massively in the race. But I think on a fast track, it hasn't done much previously.
Yeah, she was pretty kind to it in the replay there, Binding, but sort of just stacked them up. But with 62 kilos, she just kept finding the line. It was a pretty big win, that.
Yeah, no, I'm with Donny here. I think Cronenberg is way under the odds. It can win. Like, it's going to be third up now, rock hard fit, but $2, whatever the price is it $3 now? I think it's got out $3. A little bit. Yeah, it's got out a little bit now, and look, it'll probably start around $3.50, $4, but it's a horse that you just got to bet around in this race. I think Kerchak come out of that last start run and won, but it just had no luck, Kerchak, that day. Like, Cronenberg just led at a ridiculously slow speed and sprinted away from him in the best part of the track. So, and then I agree with Donny, like, that Bet to the Crown win was just so heartbreaking last start. I thought I Am Artie was a good thing that day also. And just whenever Desley and Sam Collett, there's just nothing worse than getting rolled by those connections. Like,
they both seem to be back into form a touch. They especially Sam, she's riding a little bit better after she's come back.
I've said early in the week, Sam Collett is like the jockey version of John Simons and Sheila Laxon. Whenever they should do something, they do the opposite. And whenever they've got none, they'll win. And whenever they should win, they'll just completely shit the bed. So, look, and the other one, Belvedere Boys, I don't think it's been suited at all, this preparation. They finally get out to a mile. I think the knock is it's 28 days between runs, whether it's ready for a mile off that. And the other thing is whether it is better on a wet track. But I do think it's been looking for a mile, if not further. And as he said, if the rain comes and the track is even, then this thing will not be starting $8.50. It'll start a lot shorter.
Definitely wear the watch on Belvedere Boys because, it's. I think it's clearly the best horse in the race.
Yeah.
100%.
Looking at the punting form data, I think that Cronenberg is an auto lay. I might have to scribble my homework at Betfair and put that in as a lay the place jobby for my lay competition this week. But Betcha the Crown Belvedere Boys and Binding look ultra scary, 1,600 metres under these conditions of the race. So I'm sort of licking my lips. I'm starting to get pretty horned up about this race. It's appetising given, it feels like we're dead against Ryan Maloney. If Ryan Maloney has a big day on Saturday, we'll be looking for the baked beans.
Yeah, but look, I can't see Cronenberg drifting too much with the way the track's going to play, and you got Golan Maloney and it's third up, but it is one that it's going to present opportunities to bet into the race.
Have you priced that race, Tom? And what did you price it?
Well, I've got it $10, so
yeah, I've got it
I'll be
$15. Yeah,
I'll
I'm
be
just completely
it.
against.
I guess the thing with Betcha the Crown is if it's slow away and gets pulling, then your money might be Cactus running out the mile. But if she comes out on it, and if she comes out on its neck and just sits on it quiet as a church mouse, gets it to relax, then it'll go straight past Cronenberg. I got no doubt about that.
It's flying.
Yeah, I think the market's going to gravitate heavily towards the three that you've mentioned, Betcha the Crown Belvedere Boys and Binding. So if you like them, I'd be getting on early because the others look like they'll express out in the market. Tommy, you got Hell in the last. I know GK's going to stamp it. It was one of his better bets, but is there any reason why we shouldn't be backing it, or is this going to have handlebars down like usual and you're going to get the nice smile and the haircut and the suit in the yard after to collect the trophy?
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to beat, to be honest. I wouldn't say I was surprised that he won last start, but I was surprised how good he went. But in saying that, all the data we were getting back before the race from Walsh, it was the best he'd ever had him. And I do think we won that 1350 no Metro win a couple of weeks beforehand, and he was being trained for 1200. So to win at 1350 was a bit of a bonus because he wasn't ready for that. So people might look at that run and say, geez, where's that come from? But I guess the writing was on the wall a little bit. Espresso could keep, look, Maloney's on Espresso, so I think he'll let us go. And then I guess the only other pressure in the race, I think, is Give Giggles. And it's been folding under pressure in fast run 1,000 metres. So I think we either lead or get outside the leader, and I think with the race fitness, he will be very hard to get around. The only horse I am worried about is the Inflictor, just because he gets the right run in trends, and I think it comes out of a pretty hot race. So, yeah, I think he'll be pretty hard to beat. I'm disappointed if he doesn't win.
Oh, he sounds like he's the southeast Queensland version of Pride of Jenny over the short course at the moment. He's just absolutely airborne. So good luck with that one on the weekend, Tommy. And if we don't catch you next Friday, we'll see you in a fortnight's time. But thanks for joining the show. Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Good luck, mate.
Outstanding stuff. So, wow, the level of confidence on the card thus far is outstanding. We'll sub GK back in for the final couple of races, and then we'll get through the Steamers and the team multi. But firstly, get a team multi's Quathquine. I think we'll make the captain's call and just put in for a place, given it's not unanimous. So $1.55 there at TopSport. So we've got that first leg secured. Let's have a look at Doomben Race 9. It's the Empire of Japan, Kutas 3-year-old handicap over 1,200. Gimme Space is a favourite, 260. King Potter 330. Boomtown Boss $5. Mr. Bianco $7.50 in from 12. Super Alloy 14. 15. Astrondo. Shamadan $16. Start to have a look at a couple of replays here. Give Me Space is the first one. Light blue, pink hat. B. Lockwood. Donnie, fair bit of merit to this performance.
Yeah, this thing is just ran some massive late data. Its final sectionals were as good as you'll see in Brisbane. It trialled really well before this, and you could see it coming. They backed it off the map. I think it was $1.80 into $1.30 and duly pissed in. Just the data that it's produced in its last, like it ran the best last 8, 6, 4 and 2 of the meeting, and just some of the ratings in those sectionals were huge, especially the final 8. And admittedly, it was off a slow tempo, but it's a talented horse. I think it's one of the better horses in Queensland. It's just bizarre that they've come up with the jockey booking in Luke Dempsey. So I haven't seen him at all in Brisbane. I've did a bit of research when I saw it. I done this race early on Wednesday before they had him booked. I'm not sure if it's a late change or not. He's only had 3 wins in his last 172 starts.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a ride in the last 30 days. He's had 5 rides in the last 60 days. I think he's an Irish jumps jockey from what I saw on Facebook, and it's his first ride in Queensland. So how the hell they found this guy to sit on one of the most up-and-coming horses in Queensland is just bizarre. But the best thing about it, it's going to follow the other hope in the race, King Potter. He'll probably be leaders back, so it's going to give a massive kick. Give Me Space will peel off its back, so they're 2 of the main chances.
I thought this was he did well here, King Potter, because there's some commotion in the gates, and then despite all the carnage in the gates, this horse just went straight to the front for Jag, and he just kicked away nicely. So it was a pretty professional performance, given the trouble at the start, and I sort of like the way he did this. GK, you're back with us. What did you think of King Potter? And then, the odd jockey bookings sure to give you a bit of ick as well, I would have thought.
Yeah, like if I priced this race without knowing the jockey on Give Me Space, I'd probably have Give Me Space maybe $1.90, maybe $2.10. But with this jockey booking, I have a little bit of an icky feeling, and I don't really know what to do with it. Maybe they just think it's immoral, and like I could ride it. That run, honestly, and the trial before it was absolutely sensational. Like the way it responded when Orman just pushed the button, like it's just another one off the Barry Lockwood, out of the stable that he's got of like progressive horses with like Battlefield, Flying Aurelius, like stable's just, fantastic. I'm not totally sold on King Potter here. Like I was impressed with the performance, but I do wonder whether it does have the upside of a horse like Give Me Space. I guess one other one that I would mention, and it has a terrible draw, is Boomtown Boss. I really did like the win last start. I think they'll probably just try to take a sit and finish off here. It's going to be hard from that barrier, but I think it's one to follow through the prep. Super Alloy, I'm not sold on it at this trip. I think it needs a different race. I was completely against it last start. I'm just going to wait for now with this race. I really want to be on Give Me Space, but I just want some more information.
Yeah, I think I said Give Me Space is one of the most talented horses in Queensland, or the up and coming, but I think King Potter's almost alongside it. I think it's an absolute beast, and I loved it. Its first up win. You see its data. It was it ran the fastest last 200 of the day leading, which I always love. It ran at a decent tempo and just powered away from him. I think it was an awesome win. Jag pulled up with 100 to go and had a look around. And I think today it's almost certain to front the top, which I think it's going to be very, very hard to run down, especially if Dempsey doesn't find the back on Give Me Space. I think it's only 2 horses in the race. Boomtown Boss was good last start, but used the bias, now draws wide. And like you say, they'll tag it. I don't think he can win from back there. So it's King Potter's going to bound away on the turn with a decent break. They have bet $5 early. I've had something each way, and I think it's one of the better bets of the day. I've marked them about $2.80 each of 2, but just with the prices, I'm very keen to be in King Potter's camp. And I think the same race multi with these 2 horses is a play. It will be pretty short, but I think just because they're going to be leader and leaders back in the run, and if that's the way the pattern is, King Potter's going to kick. Give Me Space is going to try and chase it down. If you take those in the Quinella, you'll probably get around $4.50 to $5 with TopSport with the same race multi. I think that's a good way to play. So I think I'll be heavily invested in King Potter, and I'll be saving on the same race multi with Give Me Space.
I can see the syndicates gravitating and keep coming for King Potter for the reasons you just mentioned. And if you haven't secured a price early on Gimme Space, I can see this horse starting. Oh, yeah, I think they'll just flip in odds, but I think they'll clear out in the market. And if you like anything else to beat them in the race, wait till the absolute death, because this could be a really high volume race around King Potter and Gimme Space, and definitely two horses that you can follow deep into their preparations for the rest of the summer carnival. Let's have a look at Doomben Race 10. This is GK's best for the day. It's the Bet Ticker Benchmark 78 handicap over 1200. Hell is the favourite, as we've mentioned prior with Tommy. $2 in from $2.25. The Inflictor $6.50. Give Giggles $8. Espresso $8.50. Majestic Boom, who we saw in that trial earlier on, at $8.50. Then you got Weigel Tiger $9. That rounds out the main chances there. And this is Hell. Wow, this is a emphatic win. He just pulled himself to the front, GK, and didn't stop.
Yeah, this is Pride of Hell. This is Queensland's Pride of Jenny right now. Look, this is just a fantastic win. I was a bit of a non-believer until the win over Warby two back, and then this run here, it's gone out something like 4 lengths quick to the 800, and then it's the sectional between the 8 and the 4 where it just breaks their hearts. It was like 5.5 lengths quick between the 8 and the 4, and it's just job done. They can't run it down, right? Especially on these firm tracks. So 1,200 meters Doomben, it's just a perfect recipe for a horse with this racing pattern. We've seen it over and over and over. I think this is unbelievably hard to beat. I'm betting up, have bet up. They open $3.80. Yeah, look, I think it wins.
Let's have a quick look at the trial of Weigel Tiger and Give Giggles. I think Tommy's against Give Giggles, and he thinks the biggest danger is the Inflictor. But Weigel Tiger into the abyss now?
Yeah, look, I just don't know about Weigel Tiger first up here. It's a nice trial, and there's good horses around it, like Uncommon James, Give Giggles. And look, if you look at first up last prep, it's like a length of horses like Golden Decade and Inhibitions, which, that's obviously strong form. I just think this isn't the right race first up.
And they finally get CJ Graham off it, which is probably a positive, but they found Aidan Thompson. So
barrier 16.
Yeah, barrier, I think it's the widest barrier, 9 out of 9 now. So it's going to be tough from there to see what happens. But like you say, Hell's just a beast. If it's with us, it's had 5 tough runs. If it's not over the top, it'll find the front and be hard to catch. I'm surprised Tommy was happy to see it sit outside the lead. I'd be shocked if it didn't handlebars down and take the front.
There's just no way that's sitting outside.
Yeah,
I think Tommy's just holding his cards close to his chest there. This just pings like a greyhound. Emily's just going to jump, and this is going to cross, and it's going to lead, and it's going to find the rails.
Give Giggles just doesn't give it all, does it? It's been folding badly. They've had some gear changes at each start. Golan can't get this thing going, which is surprising for Golan. The Inflictor's a hope. It charged late last start. I thought the ruck in the race that might fill a hole, or if you want to play some Quinellas and Exotics, is Oceans of Energy, first up for Dunn. The stable is airborne. Their first up stats are freakish. If it just holds a spot close to the speeders, fresh off a Noakes campaign, but it will have some sprint in its legs late. So that's one you might want to throw in the multiples or Exotics.
Outstanding stuff, but I think Tommy might be just channeling some of the media tactics from Tony Otto Bray, given the cat and mouse that he's sort of playing with that. But great to see Hell the way he does it, and hopefully it does it again on Saturday for you boys.
It's been a fair buy for Hell for Tommy Henjak's Bob. I think it's had 5 starts in Queensland. They bought it as a maiden for 4 wins, and it's gone for its 3rd Metro win on the bounce. So it's a great play by that team.
Doing a good job there. Might have to hit him up for a bit of sponsorship for the show. Tommy's not cheap. Let's have a look at TopSport early action here. Race 3, number 1, End Assembly, $700 at $5. We give this horse a reasonable chance. The next one here is Doomben, race 4, number 6, and that's Excess Speed. Any thoughts there, GK? It's a race that we haven't covered. It's against Anderson, Hydroelectric Tavs. Would you like to have that bet, or are you happy to let it go?
That could actually be my bet. No, look, I have backed Exit Speed already. I think it's drawn really well. Like we said, we're against Maloney on this card. This is a great ride for Maloney here. I think there's definitely a chance that it's probably just going to get into the right spot, and I think the form of Anderson may be a little bit hollow, and I think it's too short early. So I'm really happy happy to play Exceed Speed in that race.
Outstanding. So we're giving Maloney a good early hope, so it's not all bad news for Ryan if he's watching us. The next one could be Donnie's bet, and this could be the magic of television because it's just coming through now. 1,200 on Felix the Scat at the bottom of the mark.
That's not enough.
So for Donnie, no. Definitely not, and they've caught it at the bottom of the market. So might get a little bit better for that horse, given the reasons we listed earlier. And this is another one, Doomben Race 7, number 8, midnight in Tokyo. So that's $370 at $6.50. So bit of market support, but it's definitely a runner that might need the run, but no surprise if it can win it on class alone, given the way the camp's firing at the moment. All right, I think we've got 2 out of the 3 legs of the team multi, so I think it's going to be Quothquan the place, just not quite over line with a unanimous call on that one to make it a win bet, so we're going to cat it a little bit. $1.55 it at TopSport, and then you got Hell for GK at $2. And what's the third and final leg?
I'm going to go King Pot of the place. I think there's only 2 hopes enough. I think we just need to get it to a nice little start here. I think they're 3 good bets that will get us away. We'll get Tristan at TopSport to knock us off a decent little 3-way parlay on a special tab, so he'll reduce that to 100%, which will be nice for us.
Exactly. So just go to the TopSport website and then just look to the Thoroughbred Special section. I think it works out to be $4.50 on the screen, so he might give us $5 or $5.50 or $6. I think he should give us $6, given it's been a diabolical week for punters in Cup Week. So hopefully we can give you a bit of Queensland cheer with the 3-leg multi there. So Quothquan the place, Hell the win, and then King Pot of the place. So I think it's a pretty safe way to go. All right, that's our maiden voyage. I think next week's going to be slicker and sharper, but I think everyone's done a good job there. Donnie in the hot seat. I think you've done it well.
Talk about hot seat. It's probably 45 degrees in your garage here, Scooty.
Yeah, it's
sweating bullets.
Yeah, the studio's not coping with the summer conditions here, so we'll be straight at the pool for a dip or down the beach, I think. But GK on fire, and I think next week we'll be able to set up the AV to have all 3 of us, or we'll get Turbo or Johnny McLeod in, so we can have 3-way or 4-way turf talk, which is a bit of a throwback to the good old days. But big thanks, GK, and great to be on Bet Doctor.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys.
Outstanding stuff. All right, make sure you get set at TopSport this week. Big thanks to Racing Queensland. And as I said, we've got 9 more episodes to come, and so we'll be with you every Friday until Magic Millions, and we'll see you next week.